New York, the number. Smooth 98.1 brings you the marketplace.
It is 16 minutes going to Spark Lagos. You are tuned into the marketplace on a Monday evening. And as you know, on Marketplace, hey, we'll talk about everything that has to do with the market. No, not your regular market, as you would imagine, but yes, the stock market and all of that, all about Nigeria's economy and where you need to. Well, if you are looking at how you can diversify your economy, your portfolio rather, that is what you can also look into doing on the marketplace. However, today, Wealthbridge Market Intelligence has released an overview of Nigeria's economy in their latest report, and we'll be diving in, getting all that insight as to where is our economy going and is it looking good or is it going to be looking wonky? Well, my guest is definitely here. He'll be sharing insights on the things that we need to get cognizant of. And my guest is Chidera Anushiem. He's the analyst at Wealthbridge Financial Services. And I'd like to say a very pleasant good evening to you. Hope your day has been good.
Hello, Joy. Good evening. Thanks for having me. My day has been fantastic, and yours?
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for asking. Well, Lagos, you also get to share your thoughts as well. You have questions, you have contributions regarding Nigeria's economy, and well, once we get into the reports, you at least get an insight as to what we're doing, how we're doing, and hopefully where we need to make the amends or where we see that you need to tap into and be able to make more money. Anyways, let's get into the conversation. And thank you once again, Chidera, for being here because talking about the update, talking about the overview of Nigeria's economy, anytime some people hear about Nigeria's economy, they're like, ha, are we ever going to get a breather? But it's good to have you in. And thanks to Wealthbridge also for, the update regarding economy. Now let's get into the report itself. So from the report notes, it states that Nigeria's foreign reserve actually rose by $2.75 billion, not naira, it's dollars, between June 30th and July 31st. So it seems as our gross dollar reserves are actually back at $40 billion dollars. And I'm impressed with this. However, I want to ask, how did we get to increase our reserves when it felt like they have cleared everything? We don't even have anything in our reserves. So what led to this increase?
Okay. We have two ways to answer that question. There could be
Yes.
the immediate reason and the remote reason. So, immediate reason for what happened this month, we saw an increase in oil receipts, as a result of
Oh,
improved oil production. Our oil production and the output is averaging around 1.5 million barrels per day over the last few months, which
mm,
includes about 250,000 barrels per day of condensates. And
mm,
if you look at the last over the past few weeks, the price of oil has averaged around $70 per barrel. Last month,
mm.
you can see the report. The average for the month was $69.89 per barrel. So that contributed obviously to our the increase in foreign reserves we experienced. Also, um, renewed investor confidence will
Mm.
definitely lead to increased foreign portfolio investments. As those portfolio investments come in, they will also help to bolster our foreign reserves. Also, generally, the pace of reforms that we've been seeing across the board has tighter monetary policy, um, increased discipline in the CBN, and how the CBN goes about its mandate has also helped to boost investor confidence.
I like that because I know that benchmark was at 70 and seeing that we're there right now and we seem to be improving by day.
Yeah.
Should be it should be jolly good days to come if all actually just stabilizes or improves as well over time. But fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
uh, now that we've seen this, and I know that there's something to look forward to, but as a layperson who is trying to get into this space and learn the trade, figure out how the market works and all that, what are the benefits to the country regarding the revenues rising? Is there more to look forward to, or are we going to just just keep stacking the funds, or is it that there's something more to look forward to?
You mean the reserve rising? You said revenue.
Reserves rather pardon me, the
Understand it, no
reserves,
problem.
right? Yes.
No problem. The first and the most important benefit of our reserves rising is that it helps to stabilize our currency. Over the last few weeks to months, we observe some very steady appreciation of the naira against the dollar. This is can be tied directly to the higher reserve. So it improves the level of confidence in the economy, the currency, also helps to reduce volatility. That's on the currency perspective. Then it also helps to increase what I call the foreign currency buffer. So when announcing that our gross reserves crossed 40 billion, the CBN governor stated that those reserves can cover about 9.8 or 9.5 months, almost 10 months of import cover. So
Okay.
it helps to help the country to cushion against external economic shocks.
Okay.
Even if there are fluctuation in oil prices, currency devaluation, those shocks, it helps to cushion the country. Then also helps growing reserves is a very, very good sign of economic stability
Mm.
to investors, even foreign investors, and it encourages foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, and also helps to boost access to international markets for financing. So it also improves the ability to meet foreign obligations. So if your gross reserves are rising, your net reserves are rising, you're good. You can service your debt. You can meet all foreign obligations, repatriations, and all of that liabilities. So yeah, those are the
Mm.
benefits.
Okay, that's actually cool. But you made mention of gross reserves. What exactly is the difference between gross reserves and net reserves? Are they the same thing or are they different?
Okay. Gross reserves is the total reserves held by a central bank.
Okay.
It can include foreign currency deposits, gold,
Mm.
special drawing rights, other reserve
Okay.
assets, and liabilities. So gross reserves factors in liabilities. Net reserves
Mm.
takes out the liabilities. So if you have foreign currency obligations to
Hmm.
international organizations, global multinationals, other countries, so it takes that out, strips that off, and gives you the actual available reserves that can be used for interventions and other crisis management endeavors.
Okay. At least now that's understandable, knowing that, okay, the grass one is everything, while the net one is, okay, touches on a bit of some of the things.
Mm.
But I did realize from the report, um, you know what, talking about the report, let's actually dive into the automobiles. In my head. That's something I was going to call it, but I'm going to let you explain what that means first. Then we'll talk about the bills, we'll talk about bonds, and as always, we'll talk about treasury bills because that's important. But like I said, for the benefit of the listener, what are OMO bills or OMO bills?
Okay.
And
You,
who has access to them? Yeah. So let's
okay.
start with that.
Okay. OMO bills. Well, here in this part of the world, we call it OMO bills. So OMO bills, OMO stands for open market operations.
Right.
It's an activity carried out by a central bank, in this case, Central Bank of Nigeria, to give or to take liquidity in its own currency to or
Mm,
from. You give liquidity to or you take liquidity from a bank or a group of banks. So it's a very important tool. It's a basic tool for liquidity management in the financial system by the central bank. So it also helps to achieve price stability. But
Right.
unlike treasury bills, OMO bills are not available to retail investors. Only deposit money banks and
Mm.
foreign portfolio investors. So foreign portfolio investors hold assets in Naira, but it's from foreign source. So those are the operators or players that are eligible, so to speak, to play in the OMO space.
All right, all right, all right. I like the fact they've also explained who can actually access them because maybe someone will think, oh, okay, so I can also play in this market. It's not open to everyone unless you're money deposit back. So I guess you have to up your you have to up your monies to be able to play in that space. But that is, thank you so much for explaining that. That makes it more interesting. So, but the marginal rate, according to the report, states that for oval bills, it was at 24.42% in June, but fell to 23.87% in July. What actually does that mean? What does that indicate?
Okay, before I go into answering the question, let me just say that rates generally have been declining and on
Oh,
T-bills, on
okay.
FGN bonds, and those indicate for well, with respect to OMO marginal rate, it's
Mm,
first of all indicates improved liquidity. Improved liquidity in the
okay.
financial system would
Okay.
lead to a drop in marginal rates. So um, that's that's like the first and most important factor. Then there's less competition for liquidity. If you look at the report, it was stated that liquidity was a net positive in July. So there's excess liquidity in the system. So the rates on OMO bills had to fall. Then also
Mm,
importantly, when we expect monetary easing is that we expect that the CBN will begin to cut the monetary policy rates, which is currently at 27.5. When the market's anticipating potential rate cuts, that will also feed into falling OMO marginal rates. And then when the markets also expect that there will be lower cost of borrowing. So we're seeing that the cost of borrowing across the board is likely to um, fall. And even in the short term, you
okay.
can see that there's a reduction in the cost of borrowing. So um, I think other than the OPR, I think the other OBB rather, the other money market rate also declined. So that is the decrease in marginal rates is showing all of those factors.
For an investor who's looking at this, is there cause for concern or is this usually something that's expected? So should they be worried?
Oh no, it's absolutely you should not be worried at all. If anything, uh, yes, it's primarily as a result of liquidity in the financial system, but it's also a a sign that cost of borrowing may be on it may be on its way further down.
Oh, awesome stuff. All right, Lagos, we'll take our first breather for the evening. When we get back in, we'll not be touching on Federation account allocation and seeing what FAC allocation is looking like. Has it surged? Has it tanked? Well, we'll touch on that after this quick breather. As always, you want to stay tuned to Smooth 98.1.
Listening to Smooth 98.1. This is IBK,
So
and you're
just
tuned
a
into
quick breather and we're back in.
98.1.
Okay,
Quick
okay,
one.
okay.
25 years old. She's been having trouble acquiring a loan from her bank. This is not okay at all. I've been on this queue forever, and you're saying I should fill another form. What's going on? What can your bank do for you? Meet Frank, 27 years old, held up in traffic and making fruitless transactions. Airtime. Even the electricity charges. Why someone do not making this payment? Introducing Safri, a lifestyle digital bank that's designed just for you. With one click, you can make easy and fast payment transactions, pay bills, and even acquire easy loans. Hurry and download the Safri app on your Play Store. Visit safrisafri.com for more information. Safri, borderless banking. Accessible. Info. Different market.
All right, Lagos, it is 31 minutes gone past 5. You tuned in to Marketplace, and today's a Monday, so we're always touching on the market and figuring out what's happening in the market. And talking about the market, on the marketplace today, we've been taking a look at the economy. Yes, Nigeria's economy, according to Wealthbridge, they've done a report and they've been giving us an overview of Nigeria's economy and where we are at now. My guest who's been sharing further insight, is Chidera Anushiem, and he's the analyst at Wealthbride Financial Services. And he's been doing such a great job explaining what OMO is, OMO bills and treasury bills. And in case you've been wondering, okay, is this the right time to be making my investments? Oh, he's been allaying our fears, in case you were wondering. Is that the right time? Well, there's no time like the right time, right now. Anyways, glad to be having this conversation with you, Chidera. And before we went on that short breather, I was talking about fact allocations. But before we get back into this, right? I wanted to touch a bit on the report, because I know I did ask regarding the investors, what's the mood really like for from investors for fixed income and money market securities. We'll get into that, but more so, your reports or states that oversubscription at a recent auction. What does oversubscription mean for a layperson who's trying to get into the space? How how would you help them understand this?
Okay, so oversubscription is simply a scenario in the fixed income market where investors, um, let's say investors demand for securities more than what is offered by an issuer. In this case, the federal government or an agent of the government. So for OMO bills, it would be CBN. For FGM bonds, it would be the DMO. So different agents of the government. But essentially, the investors demand more for that security than what is offered by the issuer. So, for example, if you look at the report, you will see that in the OMO auctions, 300 billion was offered in July, and investors subscribed to the tune of 1.63 trillion. And this oversubscription is primarily a signal that there is high level of investor confidence in this case, in the government and the government's policy and in the fixed income market. So it's a good sign. It's a good sign for that space. But generally, yes, just to answer your question, oversubscription means investors demand more than was offered, and it indicates strong confidence in security being offered.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much for that insight. Now let's get talking about the Federal Account Allocation Committee. Your report notes that the FAC allocation surged past 1.8 trillion naira, not dollars this time, in June. And that showed that it had an increase of 9.6% from May. So basically, the states got more money. How is this possible, and what's the trigger behind this increase? How did they even get so much money like that? Because I don't know. You help me with you. Well, I'm trying to make my wrap my head around it. I know that some people say there's no money in the state that they are not making enough. So how do we have so much money by the states? How did they get so much money?
Okay, so like you stated, more was disbursed. Typically, the allocation, fact allocation is a function of how much revenue was accrued to be distributed across all three tiers of government. So that figure increased to 1.882
Okay.
trillion in June, and that was largely driven by companies' income tax, petroleum profit tax, and electronic money transfer levy, which increased significantly, according to the Office of the Accountant
Okay.
General. So, yes, states got more money, um, and generally across the board got more money because revenue to be distributed across the board actually increased. As you can see, even the federal government got more money from 538 to 645. Local governments also got from 420 billion to 445 billion. Although some other aspects of the revenue basket decreased, like oil and gas royalty, value-added tax, import
Okay.
duty, excise duty, but um, overall, the effect of the increasing metrics weighed out over the declined metrics. So that's how we have that.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Because I saw the increase and I was like, okay, they must have been doing something right. And here's something that Lakon shared. I'm going to take some parts of it. It's a lot.
Mm.
Well, Lakon is not particularly excited. He says in the same country, removal of subsidy, borrowing money, or taxing people is used for development, but it seems the government has borrowed to sustain their lifestyle. Mm. Anyways, like I said, Lakon is not having it. He's talking about how it's a lengthy one, if I might say so. He's talking about how it seems like we've been borrowing, and those who have actually been paying taxes weren't seeing the benefits of the taxes that they pay for. Anyways, the times we live in and interesting thoughts indeed, Lakon. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Anyways, let's get back into the fact allocation. Will more be expected of Nigerian states, seeing that the fact allocation is on the rise? Or should we be expecting them to do more? Or is this you know, I don't know.
Of
I was
course.
going to say something, but let me leave you to respond to this.
Of course, to whom much is given, much is expected. As FAC
Okay.
allocations rise, there will be increased expectation, increased pressure, if you may, on states to effectively utilize these funds for developmental purposes, infrastructural development, economic diversification, and improvement of public service and public amenity delivery. So states will be expected to deliver more on their growth targets so that it can align with the national economic goals. Also, on apart from delivering on their mandates, they will also be um, expected to be more transparent and accountable in the use of this fund. So, I think the logic behind it is to say that if there's a rise in allocations, it should encourage states to boost their economy, which will in turn increase their internal revenue generation, so that they can reduce reliance on these federal transfers in the long term. So, yeah, if park allocations increase, we expect expectation of states to also increase.
Okay, cool. Now let's get into more murkier waters. Well, it's not murky waters per se, it's just reality in a sense. According to your report, it states that the inflation is decelerating. And well, that's good to note. However, what that translates to being seen in the prices of goods and services, and I'm talking about this because when you get into the market, the open market, and you see certain prices, and you're like, I thought they said inflation is going down, but it's not translating to what we're buying. You go into the market, you're still trying to buy the regular things, and rather than go down, I don't know if the market actually affects anything in Nigeria, because rather than go down, it's as if anytime anything goes up, it stays up and goes higher, as opposed to once the market settled, we'll see some reduction in prices. So please walk me through this.
Okay, I think it's a bit simplistic to say that inflation is coming down because what actually did come down was headline
Ah,
inflation. Yes,
oh,
headline
headline
inflation.
inflation.
Yes,
Okay, cool, cool,
food
cool.
inflation, for example, year on year increased by 83 basis
Mm,
points, and month on month increased by 106 basis points. So, yes, inflation, headline inflation is,
headline inflation.
yes, is decelerating, but is it reflected? I think that inflation is, not that I think, inflation is calculated not in real time, based on events or prices in the past. So
Okay,
for us to know what is going on at the moment, we would have to get the inflation figures for July. And we're about to
okay.
enter the harvest season. So um,
Mm.
what drove food inflation last month, which was the price of staples like rice, maize, vegetables, we reasonably expect all things being equal because we reasonably expect
Yeah.
that those prices will drop a bit. So
Okay.
we may begin to see, again, if all things are equal, we may begin to see a decline in the prices of goods. About services, it depends on their input costs. So what's the price
Okay.
of petrol? What's the price of, generally, what's the price of electricity? What's the price of transportation?
Mm. Right,
So
right.
that those questions cannot be answered in the short term. So
It's something that ongoing we'll get to see how it translates at the end of the day.
yeah.
And with that, I'd like to know what's the summary of the report with respect. So if we, with all the report that we've seen and heard so far, what's the summary with respect to Nigeria's economy? Where do we see it going?
I think we should be cautiously optimistic. Should be cautiously
Mm,
optimistic because some of the indices are looking good. Foreign reserves declining, headline inflation, which we may begin to see food inflation also decline. Well,
right.
in some quarters, there is the clamor for monetary easing. People say the time is right for monetary easing. And if that
Okay.
happens, you begin to see cost of funding drop. Corporates that have been previously unwilling to, you know, get capital, especially from the
Mm,
debt capital market, would be more open to doing that. And that will also unlock a lot of things in the economy. So some people who have
okay.
been contractors who have been unwilling to issue securities to finance infrastructural development will be more willing. Companies that want to go into manufacturing, diversify
Mm,
into different parts of the economy will be more willing to do so. So yes, if we can continue, even with liquidity management, if we can continue to um, do what we've been doing right, and
right.
the states, the local governments also continue to adequately utilize their park allocations, and we increase our economic diversification effects, then we're on the right track.
Okay. All right. Well, that has been great insight shared so far, and I'm hoping that well, it won't just be numbers we're reeling out. It will definitely see the harvest or reap the harvest, since harvest time is just around the corner. But I want to say very big thank you for sharing this insight. So for anyone who is looking at to get more insights regarding the report, how can they reach out to you on your social media handles? That is.
Okay, you could reach out to us via email, research@wealthbridgeng.com. You could also reach us via LinkedIn. Different businesses are on LinkedIn, Wealthbride Financial Services, Wealthbride Asset Management, Capital Partners, and so on. We are also on Instagram,
Right.
Wealthbridge _NG. So you could reach out to us via any of these channels. You can also send an email to info@wealthbridge.com.ng to get across to us.
All right. Thank you so much, Chidera, for all that insight, and I trust you will have yourself a pleasant evening.